This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. When you feel like your best, fam, you can do anything. You can accomplish all those goals in your life, make sure your family's good, and even start, who knows, a mildly successful podcast. Sometimes life gets you bogged down. You might feel overwhelmed. You're not showing up every day the way that you want to. But working with a therapist can help you get closer to the best version of you. Because when you feel empowered, you're more prepared to take on everything that life throws at you. The benefits of therapy are endless. It's great to just check in with somebody who can give you some perspective on life. Make sure that you're meeting all the goals that you set for yourself in life. So whether or not you've been in therapy, now could be the time to give BetterHelp a shot. It's convenient, flexible, affordable, and entirely online. Just fill out their brief questionnaire. You get matched with a licensed therapist. You can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Couldn't be easier. If you want an empowered life, therapy can get you there. So visit BetterHelp.com/madaboutmovies today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/madaboutmovies.
Brian, this might be your last podcast before you're a dad.
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. So
that's crazy.
Well, we're gonna podcast the birth. Live podcast it.
Yeah,
I'm tweeting it. I'm gonna Instagram the whole thing too.
Right,
so.
But please use sepia tone the whole time.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, I mean,
it'll be tasteful. Don't worry.
I'm an artist.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, make yourselves comfortable. I am Kent Garrison.
I am Brian Gill.
And I'm Richard Barton.
And this is Mad
About
Movies. Da, 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 da. You sound insane. You realize that? Yeah. The whole world gone crazy. Seriously? It's showtime.
Mad About Movies is a 1 hour long conversation concerning all things cinema. First half of the show, we discuss movie news, movie rumors, and of course, movie rumblings, and talk about what's currently piquing our interest in Hollywood right now, and of course, give you our opinion. For the second half of the show, we go over our movie of the week, and we give you guys our review. Please stay tuned to the end of the show for our weekly recommends, in which we suggest something that you guys need to check out as soon as you can. This week, we're focusing our efforts on what, Brian?
This week, we'll be talking about Tom Cruise's new movie, Oblivion.
60 years ago, Earth was attacked. We won the war, but they destroyed half the planet. Everyone's been evacuated. Nothing human remains. We're here for drone repair with a mop-up crew. This is Jack Harper. I'm good to go.
Cruise has kind of been laying low for a while. It seems like maybe what Ghost Protocol was his last. No, Jack Reacher.
Yeah,
Jack
Reacher.
Yeah.
I don't think he was purposefully laying low. I think
yeah, exactly.
Jack Reacher forced him to lay low.
Brian, you saw Jack Reacher, right?
Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't enjoy it too much, but it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen.
Who do you like better, Jack Reacher or Jack Harper?
Harper, definitely. Yeah.
Great. Well, stoked to talk. I love the cruise. We love all things cruise here on Mad About Movies. I think we've talked about that a couple times. So
yeah, we are the official podcast of Tom Cruise. So
we are.
That's pretty awesome.
Hey guys, let's break down a little bit of movie news, and then let's just talk a little bit about Tom Cruise's career, some of our favorite Tom Cruise moments, some of his worst moments, and all that before we talk about Oblivion. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Anything you guys want to mention right off the bat?
I've been a little busy this week, so hopefully you guys have got something to bring to the table here.
He is. Just let the listeners know, Brian is about to become a father for the first time. So the next podcast you hear, Brian's going to be an all-new man.
That's right.
And,
That's right.
We're excited.
And I'll be drinking less or more, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a couple things, unless you have something, Richard.
I can go, but I mean, if you go first,
go ahead.
please.
No, go, Richard, please.
We have our director for Expendables 3.
We
do.
Talk about that.
Patrick Hughes. He's an Australian film and Australian filmmaker. Pardon me. He himself is not, in fact, a film. And
get it together, Marv Albert.
I know. I'm losing it right now. That's all I know about him. I think that's all anyone knows about him. So,
what movies has he made? Any well-known ones?
A small Australian film called Red Hill.
Okay. It's got to be good. I mean, why would they hire him if it wasn't any good? That's interesting. It's kind of formulaic, though. It seems these Expendables films, you know.
Yeah,
it's kind of like I'm surprised Stallone's not directing it. You know.
Yeah.
He's writing them, starring in them, and he's not direct. He didn't direct any of them, has he?
No, I don't think so.
He hasn't. I thought he directed the first one.
I thought he directed the first one, but that I don't know.
I'm not
Yeah,
mad.
he did. My bad. Yeah, he did.
So, have you seen Expendables, Richard? Either of them?
I've seen both of them. Yeah.
You know, what was your opinion on them?
I'm not. I always think I'll enjoy them more than I end up enjoying them.
Yeah.
I like them in theory more than in execution. I mean, it's fun to see some of those guys. It's exciting to see some of those guys. I love Sly. There's a lot of great Sly movies I love from back in the day.
Yeah.
But they end up being, I think, disappointing. I don't know.
Now, they are going to do an all-women's Expendables, aren't they?
Yeah.
What is that going to be called? That's not called the Expendables, though. It's called something else.
It's Gina Serrano playing 18 different roles.
Yeah,
right.
No, seriously. Who else can you
Different
get?
wigs.
Who else can you get besides Michelle Rodriguez and Gina Serrano? You know. I don't think Angelina would do it. She's like kind of an action star, arguably. Yeah. Who else is there? I mean, there's not really. Gina Serrano kind of bust onto the scene last year with what is it, Haywire?
Yeah.
So I don't know. That'll be interesting. I really haven't seen either of the Expendables, so it's on my list.
Oh, really?
No, I really haven't.
Either of them?
No.
Huh.
What'd you think of them, Brian?
I think the first one is not a good movie, but has its moments of enjoyability, I guess. The second one is also not a good movie, but the thing about them is that it's all very self-aware, and so like the second one for me just took off because they actively did a Chuck Norris joke in the middle of the movie, and I just thought that was tremendous. And so they're not neither of them are good movies, but they are I think they're fun to watch, and I don't watch it every day, but if I'm home on a Sunday afternoon and Expendables, or I guess soon Expendables 2 comes on TNT or something, I'm definitely tuning in for a few minutes. So
yeah, they what I'm looking at the IMDb here for the third one, and rumored is Jason Statham, Sylvester Stallone, Jackie Chan, Wesley Snipes, Jet Li. So, I mean, who else can they add that they haven't already had? Who's your dream Expendables? I mean, we've talked about Wesley Snipes. Who else can they possibly add? I think Chris Hemsworth, maybe. He's kind of the new, I don't know, kind of the new action star for kind of the young generation.
Brian knows who I want to be in it.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, obviously.
Not Will Forte. We want MacGruber in it. We want legitimately. We just want him to just play MacGruber. There's no.
That would actually be epic. It would add like comedy, but it would. Yes. But it would still be awesome when he's like shooting people in the head. You know.
Yeah. And ripping throats. Just a normal.
And we want the poster to say like Stallone, Snipes, Chan, Lee, Statham, MacGruber. Like, they never even acknowledge Will Forte exists.
Yeah. That would be awesome. So that has my vote. So hopefully we'll get to do Expendables 3 here on the podcast. We'll look forward to that.
Yeah, we got to catch you up on the.
I have a lot of Expendables movies and Fast and Furious movies to catch up on. In the next
the latter is far more imperative.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that'll get done in the next month or two.
Okay, that needs to get done because we got to go see Fast 6 together.
Yeah, we're marathoning the. We're actually live. I don't know. We can't not live tweeting, but live broadcasting the first 5 Fast movies right before Fast 6. So marathon.
You can actually just start with Fast 4. I think it's called Fast and Furious.
Really?
Yeah.
You're good. Unless you haven't seen the first one. Watch the first one.
I've seen the first one. That's the only one I've seen. Yeah.
Watch the first one. You can skip the second and the third one. That's fair.
Good.
Fourth,
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Appreciate you telling me.
4th and especially 5th will blow your mind.
Yeah. And it's just
I'm looking forward to it.
It's just going to get better.
Yeah.
I know.
It's vehicular warfare.
Guys. I can't wait to watch Fast and Furious 31 with my kids.
Oh, yeah. Seriously.
Diesel and his kid. It's gonna be so great.
Hey, Brian, is it nice to know that this is the last Fast and the Furious you'll have to watch without your son?
Yeah. My horrible nightmarish experience at this point is finally over. Now
You're not going to take your 1 month old to Fast 6?
Well, I mean, I am totally.
Yeah. I mean, I would.
True. Yeah.
Got to get him started early, you know.
But he won't be able to comprehend the awesomeness of Paul.
It's
Walker.
okay. A lot of it gets through osmosis.
That's
I mean,
right.
he's just gonna just. I mean, how do you learn to speak and walk?
Yeah.
I mean, you just kind of observe.
Right. Well, I put a TV in his room and a DVD player, and all it's playing is Fast Five, just on a loop.
You're just pumping headphones.
Yeah.
Put them on your wife's stomach and just pumping the audio of Fast 5 to him.
Yeah, and I installed NOS on his crib, so I mean,
Nice. Nice little touch.
Yeah.
Nice
It'll be-
race car, like a race car bed.
Yeah.
You get it?
Hi-ho.
Oh, hey, oh.
Brian, I need to hurry up and have a kid so we can dress them up like Vin and Paul for every Halloween.
Or just every day, one way or the other. Yeah.
Oh, man. Good times.
You haven't told me the name yet, but if Dom is not involved in your son's name, I'm going to be severely disappointed.
Oh, man.
Oh man.
Okay, let's move on. I want to talk about this. I knew we'll have some opinions on this. Dodgeball sequel is confirmed.
Nah.
What are y'all's immediate reactions to that?
I'll tell. This is one of my few name-dropping stories here. I saw Dodgeball 1 at Grapevine Mills Theater on a afternoon.
Yeah.
Sitting next to me was
Oh,
Mr.
yeah, George Michael.
Wham himself, George Michael. So, huge guy, by the way. Good 6'4", super intimidating. Didn't see that coming. Looked exactly like you would expect him to look. Had like the 3-day shadow and everything. But that's all I think of when I think of Dodgeball, is just sitting there. I watched a lot more of George Michael than I watched of the movie. But to me...
So did you guys hook up or?
I did the old popcorn trick. Anyway, no, but it's a funny movie, but I mean, is it really
Yeah.
warranting? I don't care that much about it. I don't think of it as like it's not like Anchorman or something that's really clamoring for a sequel. It's just kind of like, man, I laughed a few times.
Yeah.
I'd much rather see a Zoolander sequel.
Yeah, that's got to be coming out before this, right? They
I
already
don't
have
know.
a script for Zoolander, I heard.
Do they? Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
So hopefully.
Yeah. I thought
And-
Dodgeball was a hilarious movie in 2004.
Yeah.
2013, at 30 years old, I'm like, it has its moments.
Yeah. Looking back, though, I mean, Ben Stiller, really has such a hot and cold career.
Oh, yeah.
That was definitely one of his highlights, that White Goodman character that he made for Dodgeball.
Especially
I
the
think that
first
was-
time I saw it, when it was in heavyweights.
Yeah, exactly. But it was, he was funny in that movie, definitely.
He was.
And so, yeah, Vince Vaughn and him are confirmed. That's probably all they're going to bring back. Who knows? But, yeah, I had the same reaction as you, Richard. It was kind of just like, okay, like, you can make money off that, but do you really need it? I don't think it'll be as good as the first one.
There's like a weird.
There's only so much you can do at Dodgeball, you know what I mean? Like,
there's a weird window for those things too. Like, I understand making a Dodgeball sequel, but let's do it in 2007.
yeah.
Right.
Well, we're getting a Anchorman sequel, of course, this year. And that's been like 10 years. I think,
Yeah,
or
it has,
3.
but I think people have been clamoring for that one for
Yeah,
9 years.
that one's kind of a cult hit. Dodgeball made a ton of money at theaters. I could be wrong, but I don't think Anchorman made a lot of money. it was kind of a slow burn as far as, or slow build to its status. So
Yeah. And we're getting a Dumb and Dumber sequel, too. So, any movie
Is that
that was
ever
made...
going to happen? Is that like the Ghostbusters 3 of the 90s?
No,
I
it's
feel-
happening after... Jeff Daniels is filming the new season of The Newsroom right now.
But I thought
So
Jim
it's
Carrey
supposed to
backed
be
out
after
again.
that.
Didn't Jim Carrey
No,
back out
well,
again?
he said he did, but he didn't. Like,
Okay.
he's back on. Like, they're just waiting, you know? It's done. It's a done deal. It's coming, so... yeah, but, any movie that's come out between, 95 and 2005, that seems to be the window right now that they're looking to reboot all this stuff, so...
Good. So maybe we can get an Eddie Murphy Holy Man sequel? That's what I want to see.
Hopefully. Yeah.
I want a sequel to Holy Man.
Pluto Nash too. Oh man. Another sequel news I want to talk about. Dan Aykroyd has been You know what I'm about to say. Dan Aykroyd has been trying to get the Ghostbusters 3 made for forever. And so he has come out in just the past week or so, and he what the heck? He talked to ABC News and said his hope is to start filming next year, and that the script is almost done for it. So they say Bill Murray is not going to be involved at all. Bill Murray has said he's not coming back, and so I want to ask you guys: does a Ghostbusters not involving Bill Murray interest you in the slightest?
No,
0.
Yeah,
Don't
care.
I love the Ghostbusters. Those are two of the, in my opinion, at least two of the best '80s comedies that we got. I mean, they're both great movies. They are at least 60% of their greatness is due entirely to Bill Murray.
Oh,
so,
more than 60.
Right,
I'd say 75.
Yeah.
And the rest is Rick Moranis. You know.
Yeah. It's really sad, to be honest, because I feel like this comes up once a week. There's some story that comes across Twitter about Dan Aykroyd trying to get Ghostbusters 3 off the ground, and do you guys think it's going to happen? I personally believe it's not going to happen. I don't think it'll get done. I don't think the rest of those guys will come on board if Murray's not involved, and he's not going to do it. So,
I don't think a studio is going to give them money for a Dan Aykroyd starring feature in 2013.
Totally. Yeah.
I think it'll be a reboot if they do it. It'll have Dan Aykroyd in there, and it'll have Harold Ramis probably and Sigourney Weaver, but it'll star like these young kids. It'll have like Emma Stone or like Jonah Hill or something, and that'll draw the audience. You know what I mean? And it'll be like their kids, and they're starting the Ghostbusters back up or something like that. I think that's what the studio wants, is to do another trilogy or something. But I agree with you. It might not get made. If I was a studio, I wouldn't greenlight it without Bill Murray. And I think there'd probably be a way for them to write Bill Murray into it in a way that he feels comfortable. You know what I mean? I just think he doesn't want to go on there and like play the same character he played in the 80s, because it has to be like adapted to who Bill Murray is now as a person. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, I don't think he'll do it. I don't think he'll do it. I really don't. I mean, he's notoriously stubborn on stuff like that.
Last time he was on David Letterman, though, David Letterman was like, so when are we getting Ghostbusters 3? And Bill was like, scripts have come in and out, blah, 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 blah. And Dave was like, that's what we all want to see, right? And he was like, yeah, well, we'll give it another shot. We're trying. We'll see, So he's never fully, that was to my knowledge, the last public comments he made about it. So
I know last year, I think, or maybe the year before, it was pretty public that Aykroyd had sent him a script and he returned it in shredded form. So
it said nobody wants to see old guys chasing ghosts or whatever.
Yeah. By the way, we messed up there. We should have been calling him American Treasure Bill Murray the whole time. Really dropped the ball on that one. So
that's all right.
Sorry, Bill. We'll pick it up next time.
So we'll see about that one. That's another we'll see. He said his dream is to have pre-production going this fall and to shoot in 2014. So who knows?
All right, let's get the Kickstarter account going because I don't think
seriously. Yeah, we'll see about that one. Richard, anything you want to mention? You got another one?
All I really care about is Expendables, so no.
Really?
No, I've got one more here.
Sorry, I've got it on the iPad. We've got some more of the business news things that I wanted to talk about because we talked about this a little bit last week. Netflix officially announcing they have more subscribers than HBO.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which is a paradigm shift a little bit within that industry. That's pretty insane, but it's a lot. It's on demand and it's a lot cheaper. HBO attempts to come after them a little bit with the HBO Go, which is pretty cool. But Netflix really, it's been a roller coaster ride. I would say the last 3 or 4 years for Netflix, and now it seems to be definitely on the upswing again.
I agree. Yeah, that's shocking to hear. I actually probably would have thought that they would have already had more than HBO. I thought Netflix was huge, but I guess we might be in the minority because we're so used to Netflix. But a lot of people don't have it, and I don't know why. But Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, when you look at HBO, it's what, $20 a month, and you're getting. I mean, the content-wise, you're getting, every series HBO's ever done, every season, plus, movies that are pretty much just came out on DVD if they're not already out. So as far as like premium content, I mean, they kill Netflix, but Netflix is just so affordable. There's such a wide selection for all age groups of people. I mean, HBO is a very adult, thing. If you have kids in the house, I mean, you don't pay for HBO usually.
They have Babar.
Yeah.
You can watch Kids. Your kid can watch Babar on HBO Kids.
Right. So yeah, Brian, what do you think about it?
No, I was I'm glad you brought that up, Richard. You're right. It's a paradigm shift. I think that what we're gonna get here in the next few years, at least maybe it's just wishful thinking, but I think you're gonna see Netflix and I would assume Hulu and maybe Amazon Prime are gonna knock out the rest of the competition. And I think when we get to that point, then we get even better content on those sites. You know what I mean? If there's less places for the material to go, then you're gonna then obviously those things will find their way to what we all have, which is Netflix. And I mean, I've got Amazon Prime, but I almost never watch it. It's I pretty much watch Netflix or I put in a DVD. So
do you have HBO, Brian? Do you have HBO?
I do. I what I do with HBO is I will I cut it off when the series that they're running at the time is not something that I want to watch. But like pretty much from the time Game of Thrones starts in March until Hard Knocks is over in August, I keep it. And then if there's something coming that I know that I'm really interested in, then I might keep it during those other months. But I usually cut it off for 2 or 3 months, during that time.
I didn't even know you could do that. I thought you had to have like a year commitment or something.
No, it's. Cool. I mean, at least on like DirecTV, it's just month to month. So I think I pay.
You can usually call your cable company, and they'll usually give you 30 days for free.
And that's what I end up doing. This last time around, I called to cancel it, and they were like, "Well, we'll give you 3 months free if you want to keep it." And I was like, "Well, sure." So it worked out. But yeah, I mean,
HBO
I love what it puts out, but it is like what you said, Ken. It's a much smaller range of product. I love Game of Thrones. I love Hard Knocks. I enjoy Newsroom.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
There's a couple other things that they do that are good, but then there's plenty of stuff that it's like, this is not really my thing, and I'm not interested in True Blood. So So anyway, whereas Netflix, you can pretty much find something new. If not every day, then at least every week, something new comes across. And you're like, at least I can add, at least interested enough to add that to my queue.
Yeah. I wanted to mention while we're talking about this, I just, right before the podcast, was on Amazon Prime and watched the pilot for the Zombieland series.
Yeah. How was
They actually have, right now, you can go to Amazon.com and watch all their pilots for all their new shows they're pitching, I guess. And I guess, whichever ones get the best ratings or reviews are the ones they're going to go ahead and move forward with. But show is definitely mature for mature audiences. I mean, it would definitely be an HBO show if it was on TV. It's got a lot of bad language, very violent. But, I mean, it follows the exact style as the movie with the narration and same characters. And, I mean, I thought it was a good show. I mean, for a TV show, it was fine. I mean, if it was going to be trying to be Zombieland 2, I would say, wow, it's not nearly as good. But, I mean, since it's a TV show, it kind of gets a pass. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
So, I mean, I was entertained. I thought there were funny moments, especially the intro was hilarious. So, if you're going to watch it, just check out the first 5 minutes. I thought it was very clever and funny. So, yeah, check any of the – I haven't watched any of the other shows, but do that. You never know. One of those might be the next big thing, so –
yeah, definitely.
Anything else you guys want to mention for movie news before we talk about a little Tom Cruise?
No, that's all I've got.
Hey, what's up, Ma'am Fam? Kent here. And yes, if you're hearing from me, you know it's time to talk about Blue Apron. If you haven't tried out Blue Apron by now, what the heck are you even doing? Blue Apron is the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. They deliver fresh meals straight to your door. All the food is fresh. It's sourced from local farms, and there's no wasted ingredients. I've been a Blue Apron subscriber for a long time now, and they have still, to this day, never let me down. There's tons of variety. Some featured upcoming meals include summer vegetable and egg paninis, soy glazed pork and rice cakes, skillet vegetable chili with cheddar drop biscuits, holy crap, and garlic butter shrimp and corn with green bean salad. So take it from me. Try out Blue Apron now. Go to blueapron.com/mad. That's blueapron.com/mad. Get 3 meals on us for free. Nothing goes better with a movie than dinner. So check out Blue Apron. blueapron.com/mad. Blue Apron, a better way to cook. Hey, man, fam, question for you. Do you own a small business, or are you a boss? Are you looking to hire awesome people, but you just can't find somebody to fill that role? Well, let me tell you about ZipRecruiter.com. With ZipRecruiter, you can post your job to 100+ job sites, all with one click. In fact, over 80% of jobs posted on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just 24 hours. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by businesses of all sizes to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. That's why ZipRecruiter is different. Unlike other job sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. Right now, you can post your jobs for free on ZipRecruiter by going to ZipRecruiter.com/mad. That's ZipRecruiter.com/mad. One more time, try it for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/mad. Thanks to ZipRecruiter for supporting this episode of the Mad About Movies podcast.
Cool. Well, let's talk about a little bit about some of our favorite Tom Cruise movies before we get into Oblivion. I want to mention I never really was a Tom Cruise fan prior to, say, probably Mission Impossible, 96, or maybe Interview with the Vampire. But everything before that, I pretty much haven't seen any of it. So that's the perspective I'm speaking from, just so our audience knows that. And yeah, in that span of time, he's been so hit and miss. But I mean, his misses are so random that you totally forget, they even came out really.
Yeah.
One favorites of mine include Minority Report. Love that. I loved his role in Tropic Thunder. A comedy role. It was so random and funny.
Yeah, it comes out of nowhere too.
Comes out of nowhere.
Totally catches you by surprise.
And I enjoyed him in The Last Samurai. It was pretty good.
I love that movie. I think that's a really underrated movie.
Yeah.
I think what's his name? Ken Watanabe's incredible in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are the ones I'll mention. Richard, if you want to talk a little bit about what you like.
Unlike you, I have seen a lot of the more of the 80s stuff, which I like some of it quite a bit. I love, who doesn't love Cocktail? No, but I love, obviously Top Gun's great. Risky Business is a surprisingly provocative movie for the time. And then his later work, Vanilla Sky, is a pretty interesting movie. Last Samurai, as I said. Minority Report, I'm with you, Ken, is a great. I hated Mission Impossible 2, but I enjoyed 1, 3, and 4. What else? I didn't care for War of the Worlds. I liked... trying to think of any other sci-fi or anything he's done. I'm kind of blank at the moment, but and then we'll get to Oblivion here in a second. But it's definitely. You think about the amount of hit movies this guy's has had, and I love Tropic Thunder and I love his performance in that. And the amount of hits this guy has had. You know what? And this is controversial opinion here. The first 40 minutes of Night and Day are really good.
Really?
It gets horrible later on, in my opinion.
The title alone is why I didn't watch that movie.
Yeah.
I was like, you gotta be kidding me. That's sounds like a movie title like that they would pitch at a studio exec meeting and not even have a plot for it, Yeah. It's a guy named Night and a woman named Day. Night and Day. And then now they had to write a story, It's so ridiculous.
It goes places that are pretty horrible. But I'm not kidding. They first meet, and I really like that first 30 or 40 minutes. I've seen it about 10 times. Anytime it's on HBO or something, I'll watch it. But he does interesting things. I think he's very conscious in what roles he picks. He's probably the most career-minded actor maybe of all time. I think he's
maybe
very
besides Will Smith.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Will Smith.
Yeah,
and those two guys are probably the kings of the box office. I mean, name two actors bigger than Will Smith and Tom Cruise. I mean, that's it. That's or maybe Brad Pitt, but that remains to be seen when World War Z comes out this summer. How well that does. So, yeah, I agree with you, Brian. Thoughts?
Yeah, I've always been a huge Tom Cruise fan. Top Gun was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid, and I think I had it as my pick of the week a few weeks ago. I mean, it's cheesy, it's 80s, but I still love that movie. And he, kind of what you guys said, he's a movie star, and there's a lot of actors that are great actors, and I certainly respect from an acting ability standpoint. I don't know that there are any movie stars right now who are bigger than he has been, at least over the last 20 or 25 years.
Yeah.
He's made definitely some bad movies. But I'm looking over his IMDb, and surprisingly, I mean, there's very few movies that you can say are legitimately really, really bad. I mean, Mission Impossible 2 is a really bad movie, I guess, but it's not like, gosh, you can't even watch that bad. I mean, this is just not a good action movie. I am a fan. I think he's maybe not certainly not as talented as a guy like Clooney or Gary Oldman, but he's much more versatile than I think he gets credit for. I think he does fall into patterns where he kind of does the same thing over and over again, but Tropic Thunder is a great example of his comedic ability.
Rock of Ages, kind of.
I never saw Rock of Ages, but
Really?
just from the trailer, there's no way I could
saw
get
it
through
either.
that.
Yeah.
No way I could get through that. But even from the trailers, I feel like I would enjoy Tom Cruise's part of this.
Richard's in a file cabinet.
Yeah, Jerry Maguire is one of my favorite, I guess, chick flicks or romantic comedies or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's become very cliche and very easy to bash on Jerry Maguire just because of how huge it got culturally, and therefore, we hate things that get big. But that's a pretty solid movie for what it is. And for me, my personal favorite performance of his that we didn't mention is Collateral.
Oh yes. Oh, Brian, good job. That's a great movie, and he's incredible in it. Great job.
Yeah, with Jamie Foxx. Yeah.
Yes, that movie. If our listeners have not seen that movie, you are doing yourself a great disservice because it's a tremendous film and so underrated. I hadn't seen it in I don't know how long, 3 or 4 years until maybe 2 or 3. It's been on HBO lately, and so I caught it fairly recently, and it was just I was doing other things around the house, trying to keep up with work and everything else, and I ended up just sitting there and watching for 3 hours because it's so good, and Cruise completely knocks it out of the park. I mean, that is a tremendous performance. So anyway, so I've always been a big fan of his. I respect his draw. I mean, he always draws me into his movies, and as Richard and I have discussed before, and probably we've mentioned on the podcast, no one in Hollywood, regardless of acting ability, no one in Hollywood tries harder than Tom Cruise does. No one wants you to like him and like his movies more than Cruise does. And sometimes that gets annoying, but I respect a guy that just every time out does everything he can to make his movie good.
Yeah.
Brian and I have talked about this before. I mean, the most annoying thing about Cruise is also what makes him good in that he wants us to like him so badly. He will literally do anything in a movie.
Yeah.
Like he'll dangle from a building. I mean, he wants us to think he's cool so badly. And so while that's annoying, it's also makes a lot of times for pretty great movies, especially in the action space.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Well, his next movie, guys, is Van Helsing reboot.
Oh, really? He's doing that?
He's doing it, and it's written by the guys who did the Star Trek reboot.
Yeah, no.
Alex Kurtzman, Robert Orkey, and it's directed by the guy who did Snow White and the Huntsman. So we'll see. That's
a good role for him.
We'll see.
No, I mean that's a good role for him. I mean, really, that's I don't know that movie will be good, but that's not a bad. You tell me that Tom Cruise is going to play Van Helsing or Hugh Jackman is going to play Van. Okay, I'll take Tom Cruise. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, that's not a bad career move for him.
Yeah.
Unless it's Van Helsing the musical.
Right.
And he's got another Mission Impossible down the pipeline. 2015, it's announced. So
Brad and I both really liked MI4.
I loved Ghost Protocol. I think Brad Bird is one of the better directors out.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought that movie was incredible. I love J.J. Abrams' MI3 too. So
yeah, I like the third one. I think Ghost Protocol is unfortunately going to get kind of forgotten because Skyfall, I think, takes the title of best recent action movie, but Ghost Protocol probably had that title before Skyfall. I mean, that's a really, really good and smart action movie.
I loved Simon Pegg in Ghost Protocol.
Yeah,
He added such a great character to that movie, and
sure.
That's on Netflix, so I mean that's a good one to go back and watch too.
Definitely,
it's awesome. You guys want to talk about Oblivion now?
Day 1644, Tower 49. This is Mission Control. How y'all doing this lovely morning?
This is Jack Harper. I'm good to go.
Are you an effective team?
We are an effective team.
Let's talk a little bit about Oblivion. Brian Gill, give me your thoughts about this movie.
My thoughts about this movie are, as I told you guys beforehand, the trailer for that movie was incredible. I was primed for a sci-fi epic. I love the concept. I love sci-fi stuff, and that's clearly no.
I love science.
I know. I'm a total sci-fi nerd. But I take it to another level. Whenever it's anything that's like post-apocalyptic like that, I don't know why, because they're almost always bad movies, but I will watch almost any movie that has to do with some sort of future Earth that has been half destroyed or something. So anyway, I was pretty primed for it. I think that Oblivion is a decent enough solid sci-fi movie that maybe is too ambitious for its own good and doesn't quite reach the goals that it sets for itself from the beginning.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
No, that totally does.
It's a little bit hollow is part of the problem, but I think that the movie wants to be it wants to be like Braveheart for future Earth instead of Scotland, and it's not. It's just not quite up to that level of significance.
Yeah, Richard.
It kind of reminded me of what was that? This was like the more commercial version of Solaris, that George Clooney movie.
I never saw that. Yeah.
In that it's just, I think this is kind of a mediocre sci-fi script and production that's sort of brought to our higher attention because Tom Cruise is in it. But it doesn't really feel like he should be in it. I don't know. I can't think of who should. But I feel like Carl Urban should just be roaming this movie or
that's
something.
That's not bad. That's not a They
tried that. It didn't work. It was called Dread.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
But I feel like it's more for someone of that caliber. I have a confession in that maybe the movie turned around at the end, but I got pretty bored. So I pieced out of there with about 20 minutes to go. I figured all would end pretty happily once I kind of got that sense
Classic
bolted. Barton. But anyway, so it was fun. Brian, you're absolutely right. It's way too ambitious for its own good. It seems like these screenwriters are massive fans of some really great sci-fi, and that they themselves are not capable of producing what they wish to produce. The plot is as can happen with fair to middling sci-fi, extremely convenient. There's a lot of like rules within the movie that are really stupid, but they happen to just serve the narrative.
Have to set it,
Yeah, so they serve the narrative only. They don't seem like they would exist if this narrative didn't exist. Yeah. So that was frustrating. It's well made. You're right, Brian. I was really hyped by the trailer. And the other thing I was thinking, it's like the perfect movie caliber wise to come out
April 20th.
Yes.
That's the best way to describe it. It's like the perfect release date for it. It's not a summer movie. It's not a crappy fall movie. It's not a Christmas movie. It's like this. It's like a preseason NFL game.
Yes.
Like it's fun to see who's going to make the team, but it's ultimately unfulfilling compared with week one, with Iron Man and stuff next week. So it kind of gets you in that mode for summer movies without actually succeeding at it.
Yeah.
It's not angrily bad. Like it didn't tick me off. And for people that don't listen to this podcast, saying I walked out is not insulting it. I walk out of most things. It just it's you're right. It's ultimately empty. There's some cool parts. It's not offensive in any way to anyone's artistic sensibilities. It's just sort of meh. Okay. Yeah. I'd love to watch it on cable.
Yeah, that's what I said in my. I did a little review of it, and I basically said, it's not great, but when it gets picked up into the cable rotation, I'll watch it a few times.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Kent, your thoughts?
I agree basically with what you guys said, and I'll make an analogy. When Prometheus came out last year, it got a lot of criticism for plot holes and for not, resolving a lot of what should have happened in the movie.
Sure.
This movie I kind of put in that same category in the sense that Prometheus was great because it was an idea. It was a great idea for a film. And this is the same way. It's a great concept for a movie.
Yeah.
It in the same way as Prometheus, the writers did a great job of planting a seed here, but they didn't water the seed and a tree didn't come out. You know what I mean? It's like we have something very special here. Everyone can see it. But they're not, like you said, they're not getting it. It's not meeting its full potential. Like this movie is absolutely freaking beautiful.
Totally,
in every sense of the word. Like it's gorgeous. The score is freaking amazing. Like it's one of the best scores I've heard in a movie in a long time. It's by M83, a really popular band that did it. But it was just so fitting, really epic sounding, and.
Yeah, the sound is great.
The sound design was incredible. Like the sounds that the drones made and all the guns and everything. I thought the set design was gorgeous. The house that he lived in up in the stratosphere and the swimming pool and the look of the film itself impressed me. And
that's what I mean. Like it's like watching a preseason NFL game. It looks the part, but it's. Yeah, it doesn't. The score doesn't matter in this movie.
And so having said all that, I wish this had been like you said more. I wish they had given. There's so many characters that are underdeveloped. Yeah, and there's so much potential there that I left disappointed. Not because what I had seen sucked, but because I wanted more of it. Do you know what I mean? Like
totally.
It was felt too short to me, honestly. It was I think it clocked in at 2 hours 4 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
And I would have been totally fine had it been 2 hours 25. If maybe I had gotten a little more backstory about the invasion or backstory about who the scabs were,
Yeah.
And Morgan Freeman's character and maybe Vanessa, I think her name is, or Veronica.
Victoria.
It was a V name. So if I had maybe been more stuff with her and Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Can we be over her though as a society now? Olga, whatever her name is.
No, I'm talking about the other girl.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Olga. Like her too. It's just so underdeveloped, and the way this movie ends, and we're in spoiler territory right now.
Well, count me out.
The way this movie ends is just so kind of ridiculous. Do you not agree, Brian?
What do
you think
thought
about
that that's what. I didn't feel like that's what I wanted, but I wasn't. I felt like I knew where it was going for a while there, and so by the time it actually got to it, I was like, yeah, that's fine. I mean, I felt like the ending was kind of a microcosm of the whole movie where it's like, yeah, all right, that's fine, that'll work. It was a nice, tidy wrap up to the movie, and you knew where it was going, and it was pretty predictable. And of course, Tom Cruise gets to yell "F you" at the alien, which was so 1998.
So
but I mean, it was fine. It wasn't.
What I'm talking about specifically is the fact that Tom Cruise 49 or Tech 49 sacrifices himself with Morgan Freeman to blow up the mothership or whatever.
Yeah.
And so they show his wife, who is in their home that he built for her. He left her there kind of so she could live in peace.
Yeah.
And here walks up Tech 52, and she's in love with him, and they live happily ever after.
Yeah.
And the whole point of the film that I thought was the reason Morgan Freeman, his character and the Scabs were searching out Tech 49, and the reason that the wife wanted him was because he was different.
Because he was different.
Special.
Yeah.
He was the one,
Totally.
And that's bullcrap apparently, at the end.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're right. I think it at the least that was underdeveloped in that they could have. I feel like there were some things you could have done earlier in the movie to flesh that out a little bit to where it wouldn't seem like such a wait, what? That's exact opposite of what we've been led to believe this whole time,
Yeah.
And also, so did they? I mean, where did the kid come from? Did I miss that, or was that just?
I don't know, honestly.
I couldn't decide whether she was pregnant while she was in hypersleep up in space.
I guess that he got her pregnant before he died.
I guess.
And then, it took him 9 months to go find her at the place or something.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Brian, you're the expert. I mean, you're the one having a kid.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens, guys, is... it's just... Yeah, you're
Please
right.
tell us more!
There's this scene in MacGruber, and... no. But,
I'm going to play this for Corey later to explain it to him, so...
Right.
Any help we can get.
Yeah. But no, you're right.
Okay. We can insult Corey as much as we want. He doesn't know how to use it.
He has no idea how to download a podcast. One day we need to do a podcast on Corey and introduce our listeners to the magic of Corey.
Yeah, that's true.
No, you're right, Kent. The ending was not good and definitely kind of left you on a down note, which is unfortunate. But I felt like that's kind of how the whole movie was. I gave it a B+ because I enjoyed it. Yeah. I liked Tom Cruise. I love the concept, and I am a sucker for that sort of concept, as I said. And it is just like you mentioned, from a technical standpoint, it's gorgeous. And the sound is incredible, and the score is great, and all that stuff. But it definitely is not a fulfilling movie. It's not quite a throwaway, I don't think, but it's closer to that than it is anything significant or important.
I'm so cut down the middle on this movie. I don't think I could be any more cut down the middle on a movie. You know what I mean? I love this. I wanted to love it so much, and there was so much that I loved, but there are so much stuff towards the last 20 minutes, when Richard decided to leave. That's just why, know?
Proving further that his way is better, dadgummit.
I guess.
I mean, 90% of movies have frustrating endings, I find. Or at least predictable ones.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
There's so many movies that come out, they're like, man, they really did that until the end. So I just cut the middleman out. I just make up my own ending in my head, and I'm good.
Yeah.
Come to the dark side, guys. It's the only way to see movies.
I want to say that, the ship that Tom Cruise drives, his normal ship that kind of looks like a phallic shape. Dude, that thing freaking rules, man.
Yeah.
That might be my new favorite ship in a movie. I want to have that toy on my desk forever. That thing is
totally
they pulled that thing off perfectly.
Yeah.
And it seemed like a perfect blend of CGI and practical effects. What do you think?
And there's so much like that in the movie, though. I mean, the
drones,
the design, the design
amazing.
of everything, of the technology, of the landscape, of all that stuff is incredible. And it's just, it's just one of those movies where clearly they put most of the attention into design of what it's going to look like and what it's going to sound like, rather than seeing if there was a cohesive script. And again, it's not bad. It really isn't bad. I don't want our listeners to feel like, because like I said, I gave it a B+. It's just it begs for more than what you get.
Yeah. What do you think about like the whole reveal where Tom Cruise goes out on the motorcycle to find the downed drone, and he kind of, they do this huge aerial shot of like a baseball field and a football field that have been destroyed.
Yeah.
And then Tom Cruise gets off the motorcycle and then he puts on a Yankees cap,
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be Yankee Stadium. This is going to be epic,
Right.
And then it never was. It was some random football field.
Right.
They never even reveal what town it is. And it's like, why would he put a Yankees hat on if this isn't New York? You know? They never mention like the Giants. Like, what? Could they not mention the Giants or something? Like, why?
I don't know.
Like, it's just so dumb. And it was like it was like they were trying to make it like nostalgic because he's in his old town, but then you never officially know it's New York because they don't specifically say it, even though they're on the Empire State Building and everything. But like, it's just little stuff like that annoyed me. And one more thing I want to mention, and then I'll stop talking. But the DNA trails that are left.
Yeah.
And like, who leaves a DNA trail when you're like flying in a ship? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's what Richard was talking about earlier. That kind of
those
rules that really don't need to happen, but just so they can.
The one rule that drove me crazy was like, everybody had their memory wiped out 5 years ago, so nobody knows anything that's ever happened in the past. It's like that's such an easy excuse. Like, and Men in Black uses it too. It's like, he had his memory erased, so that negates anything. So I'll let you talk now. I've been rambling. Brian.
No, sorry. No, that's the. I think that's just kind of how the movie, how it plays out. It's very perfunctory and makes some weird choices that I don't know. I just would have liked more. Have you guys ever seen the movie Moon?
This movie has been compared a lot to Moon, and that's discussions I've seen.
Yeah, I kept thinking about that movie as I was watching because I love that movie. I think that's behind maybe only Inception as far as great real sci-fi from this last decade. I mean, it's an excellent movie. And I definitely think that Oblivion borrowed some from it, which is fine. I have no problem with the idea that they took different concepts and ideas from other movies. I feel like that's kind of inevitable in some ways. But anyway, my point is, I felt like there was a lot of Moon mixed into this, and it just made me want to go watch Moon again. Moon hit it so much better and with so much intelligence that I don't know that this movie necessarily had.
I really don't feel like this movie is a complete failure in any sense of the. I mean, it's not as good as it could have been, but it could have done worse. I mean, there's there's stuff there that I enjoyed. I mean, I enjoyed myself, I would say, overall, while I was watching it. I wouldn't say it's a home run, but I'd say it's a good double. It's a good. Definitely, maybe an RBI double. It's for a Saturday night, out.
Yeah,
you could do a lot worse. I mean, it's definitely not the worst film that's out right now. It's probably the best, honestly, besides maybe Evil Dead if you're into that stuff. But
yeah, and it's the kind of movie like Richard and I talked beforehand about how we felt like, at least from the trailers, this was a movie that we would be able, the three of us would be able to talk about for hours. It just was. I think Richard said it was made for our podcast, but. After having seen it, the truth is this is kind of the worst type of movie to try to talk about because
I was loud.
It was okay. It was fine. I enjoyed it. I mean, we're all, we had a good time, but we're not going to, the movies that are really great or the movies that are really bad are the ones that are going to make for the best sort of discussion on a podcast or whatever format it might be. And this is like, I feel like we're tapping into literally everything that, for example, we talk about a movie like Jurassic Park. We could have talked about that for 3 hours and not touched on everything that needed to be talked about.
Yeah.
Including ourselves.
Movie, yeah. This movie, we've been going, 20 minutes or something, and I feel like we've tapped every part of it as far as what can be discussed and what can be brought to the surface, and I think that's indicative of the type of movie that it is.
I really think that a lot of it for me was because of the trailer. I really feel like if they hadn't had that reveal in the trailer of Morgan Freeman, the whole scavs being humans, that would have been awesome. I mean, that would have been something that you don't see coming. Holy crap! When they reveal him in the movie, it's epic. It's like it's completely dark, and then you hear Morgan Freeman's like narrating voice, like, we've been expecting you, Jack, and like it's epic, But like, you've seen that. I think they could have, honestly, this movie sold almost $40 million this past weekend. I think they could have made $40 million just with the premise of Tom Cruise is the only guy left on the planet, and there is some kind of alien force out there. Nobody knows what it is. You know what I mean? Like, and that frustrated me, and because that was the main thing this film had to offer was that twist, But that twist, it's not a twist. If you've seen the trailer, it's ridiculous. So I mean, it's almost gotten to the point where studios are so into getting an audience that they'll put everything in the trailer. I mean, even spoiler territory. So it's gotten to the point where I can't even watch trailers anymore to these movies. And we talked about the Avengers last week. I mean, the main spoiler in that trailer is where the Hulk like jumps and grabs Iron Man when he's falling, and like kind of grabs onto the building as he's going down, and I mean, that's like an epic shot, but that's the end of the movie, It's like, so yeah, I agree with you. There's a lot that should be said, but not a lot that can be said, unfortunately, about Oblivion. Maybe it'll be one that we have to revisit, once we can watch it again, maybe a few times. I can see that they were really going for it in this movie, They were really really trying for something special, but I think they just missed it a little bit.
Yeah, and you're right. This is the type of movie that that you appreciate more with multiple viewings, just because I
think it'll go down as a little more of a cult movie, than maybe like the blockbusters coming out this summer. This is kind of what, like you said, is kicking off the season. This will probably be the one that there's little fanboys for. It's probably not gonna be a franchise. Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
I mean, you can do worse. You
totally
can.
Yeah.
So having said that, I think this is a good way to kick off the summer. I can see why it was put right here. I agree with you guys there. That definitely feels right for about this time of the year. And I'm so stoked for this summer. I mean, what comes out this week?
Pain and Gain.
Oh man. So
biggest letdown to a question of all time.
I thought we were getting started here.
No, but Iron Man's the week after, and then we get into Gatsby and Star Trek and Fast Six, and
After Earth, all that.
Superman, After
Monsters,
Earth, Monsters University. Yeah.
Man, it's gonna be good times. Anything else, Richard, Brian? Anything y'all want to say about Oblivion?
Do we think After Earth will be better or worse than this?
That's hard, honestly. It's probably going to be worse because I don't think it's going to have the technology that
it's going to be so much worse. It's going to be so much worse. I saw a new preview for After Earth. I don't know if you guys have seen the most recent one before either Oblivion or 42 or something, and it almost made me hurt. Like, it was the dialogue just from the trailer is so bad. It's so bad. It's going to be awful.
The only hope that I have for it is that Will Smith rarely does a movie before he's seen his script and likes it. But he did Wild Wild West, so I mean, who knows? So
Widdikity wow, Wild West.
Now, did you guys, when you saw Oblivion, did you see the trailer for Rest in Peace Department? Do you know what I'm talking about?
R.I.P.D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't
What did you
seen the
think
trailer.
about that, Brian?
I like the cast.
Jeff Bridges and Ryan Reynolds.
I don't know that it's gonna work. It
looks like Men in Black.
Yeah, I think that's what they're going for, but I kind of see like Demolition Man at the same time. So I don't know that that's a good thing. I don't know. I mean, it's an action movie that's coming out in the summer, so obviously I'm going to watch it. But I was a little more excited about it before I saw the trailer than I am now, I guess.
I just wanted to ask you because I'd never seen the trailer, and so when I saw Oblivion, I was like, this movie looks crazy. It either looks like it's going to be amazing, like Ghostbusters status, like cult classic, or like just horrible. So we'll see. But I wanted to ask you, did you like this movie more, Oblivion, more than Tron Legacy? Because it's the same director, Joseph Kosinski. Did both of them. I thought it was way better than Tron Legacy.
But I will say similar.
Similar, yeah.
In that's the same kind of tone of. I think the big problem with Tron Legacy is that it felt like, to me at least, it felt like a cash grab the entire time. Like it was just, and I don't even think that worked out. I don't think Tron Legacy made that much money. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Anyway, it felt half baked and cash grabby. Whereas this movie, I get why this movie is a thing. It's just it didn't quite 100% work. But yeah, I thought this was, if I had to choose between the two, I would much rather watch Oblivion again rather than Tron Legacy.
Yeah. Little surprised Oblivion wasn't in 3D.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like it would have worked very well in 3D. It looked like it maybe had been shot originally to be in 3D, but it wasn't. So that was a little surprising. But it's one of the first movies, honestly, maybe in the past year that I've seen not in 3D in the theater.
Right.
But I kind of wish I had seen the IMAX because, I mean, there are scenes like just show, like, seriously, if they make the Blu-ray, I want to see just the scenes of the flying ship. Like, it was so good. Like,
Kent's really into the ship.
I really am. Like, I can't say enough good things about it. Like, it was awesome. Like, I'm smiling, like, thinking about it. It was sweet. But unfortunately, the ship couldn't talk dialogue. That might have made the movie a little bit better.
Right.
Especially if it was voiced by William Daniels.
But I mean,
yes.
The script in Oblivion was, I mean, there were holes.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, it really makes me wonder what Joseph Kosinski could do with a good script, Hopefully he gets one, because his visual taste is absolutely superb. I thought Tron Legacy looked gorgeous.
Yeah.
But it was just
I don't think you can lay Tron Legacy at his feet in terms of this wasn't good. I think you can at least start getting to that point with this one, because he also wrote the screenplay and the graphic novel that it's based upon. So this is his material, and he, some directors, the analogy on that is some coaches are good at also can be the GM and succeed at both, but some can't. And it's kind of the same with writer directors. Some guys can write their own stuff, and some guys need other people to hand them stuff that's good. So I don't know. I'm with you. I think the visual style is good enough to where I'll come back for whatever his next movie is. But he's reaching that territory where you're getting to the point, at least, where you start to wonder if he's really that talented of a director.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe it's just the team around him that's so good. Who knows?
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to mention about Oblivion?
No, that's it for me.
Richard?
No, I'm good.
Cool. Well, yeah, go out and see Oblivion. It's out right now, and enjoy it. It's one of those that, seriously, it's 50-50. You're either going to like it or you're not. So the choice is yours. You guys want to move on to Weekly Recommends?
Yep, let's do it.
Brian, kick it off.
Sure, I'm going to give you two very quickly this week, because I'm going to be gone next week and won't be able to be on for a week or two. So both of these are available on Netflix. The first one is a documentary that actually won the Academy Award for Best Documentary Feature in 2012. It's called Undefeated. It is about a football team in West Memphis, Tennessee. That is, if you've ever been through Memphis or West Memphis, it's a really poor, low income housing. I mean, just a really rough neighborhood. And it's this school that had never, or at least in the last 30 or 40 years, had not had a winning season. It was often a team that didn't win a game in a season. And then they got this new volunteer coach who takes them to a winning season and to a playoff game. And it's very well made. It's the type of documentary I like, which is just we turn the cameras on and see what happens. And it will definitely tug at your heartstrings. I'm a pretty easy cry when it comes to a movie. I'm a sensitive guy, and can get crying pretty easily. But this one had me pretty wrecked in a couple of places. Again, Undefeated, Netflix, really good. So
we have to do so many takes on this podcast because Brian just breaks down.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. You guys have no idea how much I cried when I was talking about Jerry Maguire, but Undefeated, really, really good, and I definitely recommend it. The second movie that I'm going to go with is a movie that has also been on Netflix for a while now, and I hadn't given it a chance because I thought from the little poster that's on Netflix, I thought that it was a horror movie, and you know how I feel about horror movies, but it's actually a sci-fi. A really small budget sci-fi piece called Primer.
Oh man, dude! Brian, I put this on my queue yesterday.
Sweet,
because I had heard an interview with the director.
Yeah, they talked about it on the ticket here in Dallas. I don't know, like last week, and I had seen it just a few days before that. It was made for. I'm going to pull it up, but I think it was made for
$7,000 or something.
Yeah, something just ridiculously low. By Shane Carruth, who has a movie that's out in limited release right now called Upstream Colors that has been getting some real buzz. $8,000 or $7,000. $7,000, goodness gracious. And it won an awards at Sundance 2004 when it came out. Anyway, it is hardcore science fiction. It's about time travel and cloning to a degree. It's kind of a confusing movie. I had to go and find didn't have to. I wanted to go and figure out exactly what was going on. I found kind of a timeline review that somebody had done and broke it down. It's very interesting. And we'll definitely leave you guessing. It's super short. It's less than 80 minutes long. And it ramps up as it goes. It starts off kind of slow. It throws you directly into what's happening, and then it builds from there. And by the end, it's pretty tense. And so I definitely recommend giving it a shot. Understand again, it was made for $7,000, and you can definitely tell that at times. The actors are just this guy Shane Carruth and his friends. Basically, it was shot here around Dallas. And there are definitely scenes where you can tell they did not have the right equipment that they needed for the shot. But it's super interesting and one that I think a lot of our listeners will enjoy. It's definitely one that you can discuss with your friends if they've all seen it, because there's a lot of stuff going on. So Undefeated and Primer.
Great, Brian. I'm going to go next. My week to recommend this week kind of comes on a sad note. Comedy Central yesterday announced that they are canceling Futurama.
BattleBots? Oh, okay.
No, I mean, unfortunately. But yeah, they are canceling Futurama for good. It had been canceled once before by Fox, and it did so well in syndication and in DVD sales that Comedy Central brought it back, I believe 2 or 3 years ago. And it has been on, new episodes have been on there ever since, and they recently said that they are canceling it. And so on the podcast we talked before, I'm a huge Simpsons guy. I'm a big guy into animation, cartoons. I really feel like Futurama has a lot to offer. It's kind of way more adult, I would say, than The Simpsons is even.
Yeah.
Definitely has a lot of adult humor. Really clever idea for a show, and it's one of those kind of like Doctor Who or something where there's endless possibilities. I mean, in the future they can do anything. I think that's really one of the regrets that Groening had when he created The Simpsons, was that there's only how much can they do? You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, 21 years of stuff.
Yeah,
I know.
I mean, and the most recent episodes are so far-fetched and ridiculous because they've done almost everything, you know? Even South Park was like, Simpsons did it. They can't, even South Park writers couldn't think of an idea that the Simpsons hadn't already done, at least, you know, in some form. So Futurama is cool. I love it. It's on Netflix. All the seasons are on Netflix, and there's a couple movies out, couple of full-length movies out for it. Were you guys either fans of it or watched it?
I caught up some of them on, you know, like, you know, whatever, Cartoon Network or Adult Swim or whatever it was on for a while. And I had probably a 2 or 3 year run where I watched it, you know, not every night, but a couple of times a week, the reruns. And you're right. It's a smart show. I think it's like kind of right in the middle between Simpsons and Family Guy as far as like adult content and all that. But it's a smart show. I think it's fun. I put it on my queue the other day. I don't know when I'll ever get to it, but yeah, it's an enjoyable show and smart for sure.
Richard, Futurama fan?
Not an anti-fan of it, but I've probably only seen 3 or 4 episodes in my day. Somehow missed it. And
it's definitely one that you can get into.
I'm sure I will at some point. It's definitely you know me, I love Simpsons, I love comedy, I love animation, but you know, just kind of one of those. I blinked, and then all of a sudden there were 200 episodes of it, and never really got into it. But no, from what I've seen, very funny, very smart, very satirical. You know, it had a good run though. It's, you know, you try to look at the bright side of these things. How long was it on? I mean, at least 10 years.
I think it was on. I remember it coming on the first time in the late 90s, I think 98 or 99, and then it was canceled, I believe, in maybe 04 or 05, then brought back in like 09. I mean, there's hundreds of episodes, so yeah, it's one of those that kind of you blink and it's over. But, I mean, yeah, go buy the DVDs, watch it on Netflix, support it. It's got a huge fan base online, so we'll see. Maybe they'll bring it back for the 3rd time. That'd be kind of unprecedented, but you never know. Richard, we could recommend.
All right, I'm going to go off the grid a little bit here and do a television show, but not even a fictional one. I'm going to recommend a news show. How do you like that?
Wow. Man, you're a nerd.
Glenn
I like
Beck.
this.
Books, news shows.
I know. I try to spice it up. Well, I can only watch the one movie a week, and we normally discuss it.
We got to get a new 3rd guy. Can't. We got to get.
All right, I'll just cash out now. I'll just, you know what? I'll do like I do with every movie. I'll see you guys later. No, I'm going to recommend Morning Joe on MSNBC, starring Joe Scarborough, who was a Republican. MSNBC is kind of known as a very liberal network, and Joe Scarborough was a conservative Republican congressman for many years, and now has a morning kind of Good Morning America, Today Show style show. Very funny, very wry, very balanced, because obviously, you know, some of the panels are liberal, some are conservative, so you end up actually getting just actual news out of the show, but done in a very lighthearted way. People that actually like each other, even though they disagree on a lot of things. Kind of a refreshing take as opposed to the other punditry on television. Just a really enjoyable thing to watch every morning. Catches you up much better than I think any of the network morning shows. Very good, just good tone to it. I really admire the show. I think it's very well done.
Great. That's a good recommend, because there's really nothing. I mean, unless you're going to watch one of the big four's morning shows, you know.
Yeah.
Like Today Show or Good Morning America, like there's nothing really on. I mean, that early.
I think
and those don't interest me.
I think you would enjoy Morning Joe. I really do. I think it's very, very sneaky funny. Willie Geist is on there.
Is it better than Fox and Friends?
Yes, I would say it's like Fox and Friends if they were sane. Yeah. I do like the SNL version of Fox and Friends quite a bit, especially the corrections at the
corrections. Maybe the best bit that they've done in the last 5 years. Seriously.
Yeah, it's so
that
funny.
stuff kills me.
Yeah.
Well, hi! He does that great, that voice is so funny. Yeah. No, agreed. But no, this is this is the sane person's normal show. If you're excessively liberal or excessively conservative, you will hate this show. Right. But if you're kind of just like human, then you will like it a great deal.
Nice. Morning Joe. It sounds like Morning Latte, like the SNL skit.
Yeah,
Remember?
it's sponsored
With
actually
Will
by
Ferrell?
it's sponsored by Starbucks. So it's
That
actually
is
Morning Joe brewed by Starbucks and starring Joe
Nice.
Scarborough. But yeah, give it a watch when you're up early. It will I think brighten your day.
I'll do that. Brian Gill. Where can I find you online?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at bgill12. And in the next couple weeks, I'll have a new website that I can start pubbing on here. So
Nice.
But for right now, find me on Twitter.
Cool. Richard Barden.
You can find me on Chat Roulette. I mean,
Just hit
pretty
next,
good chance. Yeah, 30% chance it's going to be me. I have a lot of cameras. No, you can find me on Twitter at Richard Barden or at richardbarden.com. Kent, where can I find you in the cyberverse?
You can find me on Twitter at Kent Garrison. You can find Richard and I on the radio on 88.7 FM here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area on Friday nights at 10 o'clock. And Brian is a guest on there a lot of times. So
yeah, listen to the show.
If you live in Dallas, listen to the Kent and Richard show on Friday nights. Or you can stream it. Just search for KTCU. You can email the show at madaboutmoviespodcast@gmail.com. Leave us a review. You can like us on Facebook. Tweet us your comments and concerns or complaints. We take it like champs. Anything else you guys want to mention before we get out of here?
Hey, please leave us a review. It's the only way we can get better. If we don't see reviews, we just assume we're perfect.
Yeah,
Right.
Exactly. Well, guys, until next week, we will see you at the cinema.
Brian,
Bye.
good luck with everything. Good luck
Thanks,
with everything,
man.
buddy. All right, buddy.
I appreciate it.
See you guys.
Later.
Later. Bye.
Leaves are falling all around. Time I was on my way. Thanks to you, I'm much obliged. Such a pleasant stay.